There may be things I'm afraid about, but I know love is right here. Trouble and fear I can do without, for I know the truth on my journey. I am here to live. I am here to live my life. Sing with me loud and clear. I'm here. I am here to live. I am that I am. I am peace and love and joy. Sing with me loud and clear. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am. I am.
So we are finishing up the month of January. We've been talking about the basics of science of mind and how we use that practically in our daily lives. The first Sunday of the month we talked about the light within. That was on New Year's Day, that light within, that is that light of spirit that is within every single thing that's created, that really runs through all that is. It is that spark of love, of wholeness, of order, and what connects us to life itself. And then we moved into the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook, which is what a lot of our centers talk about during this month of January to kind of kick off the year. What do I do with my eyeballs? Here they are. So the first chapter, which was the thing itself. Now, Ernest Holmes, our founder, talks about God or spirit or life or what the universe, whatever you want to call it. He calls it it, and you'll see that a lot, and we speak about it because he doesn't refer to it as a person sitting in a chair, like people watching and pointing and making jokes at people like we do at the beach sometimes. Was that irreverent? Sorry. Ernest Holmes refers to it as it, because it's a substance, it's that creative power of the universe. I'm sorry, I digress. So, but for the thing itself, it is the God substance of the universe that is an intelligent, creative substance that has created everything out of itself. Therefore, it lives through everything it creates. And that chapter is about recognizing that that's what we are, and that's what we're made from and made of. Chapter 2, which was the way it works. The creator substance is never gone from us, and it's never separate from us. God did not birth us, cut the cord, and then leaving us dangling, and then got mad at us for kind of falling away. No, that's not our belief. We teach that God, as it creates everything and every individual, stays with us, is always with us, and we can never be separate from us. And so as we are created here on third-dimensional earth reality, this is where God works through us. We are actually extremely important to the whole creative process of the universe because God cannot work here on its own. It works through us, through each thing that it creates. God is loving. God is patient. When we pray and ask for guidance or for healing, it works by responding to each of us in the way that we individually understand it and believe in it. So the more that we understand our connection in spirit, the more that we're able to recognize where spirit shows up in our lives. So you see, we're not trained to recognize it. We are trained as a race or as a people through some of our organized religion to think that we're always separate from it and maybe even not even deserving of it. So when we ask for God to show up in our lives, we're not always trained to see what that looks like, because it doesn't always show up how we expect it to show up. But it's really, there's an equilibrium and a balance. However we understand God or spirit or life, that is how it shows up for us. And so it depends on our personal understanding of it. If we don't believe that God is there for us, if we don't believe that we're good enough for it, if we don't think that we are deserving, then we can't see it, even though God tries to knock on our door. There's that lovely picture of Jesus that knocking on the door, knock and I'll be there. But sometimes God's knocking on our door, but we don't know how to see it and we don't know how to hear it. We talk a lot about our classes, the wonderful foundation class and what came out of that. And it's the foundational classes that help us retrain our thinking and open up our mind to understand how much spirit is within us and that we are made of all of that and that where to see it and call it into our lives so that we're able to recognize it. So take advantage of the classes. They're for everybody. They're extremely purposeful on how to use this. But Spirit, God shows up and answers us to the level that we are able to conceive and understand and accept. Last week, Reverend Barbara talked about chapter 3, which is what it does. So as I said, it's always with us. It is a part of our makeup. It is our chemistry. It is the creative process that is always responding to our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, and our personal belief system. It's always working, even when we think it's not. Because if we've said a prayer for something and it doesn't, and we don't think it has shown up, it's because something inside of us may be saying that we don't deserve it. And God does that spirit thing, does not judge whether that belief system we have is right or wrong, or good or bad, or positive or negative. If that's our belief that we're not going to see what we've asked for, that's really how it shows up, by supporting us in that belief. I know it sounds a little crazy. It works when we think it's working, and even when we don't think it's working because it's not bringing us because we don't think we should have it. Sounds a little weird? That's the way it works. One of our favorite little analogies and symbologies is that favorite front row parking space. If we think that we're deserving and we're heading to the store that day and we start getting closer to the front of the store and there's a front row parking space and by golly, look, I'm almost there and that guy's pulling out of that space and yes, I got the front row spot. Isn't that fun? A long time ago, I dated a guy who said, every time you're in the car with me, I get the best parking space. He said, I don't know what that is, but I'm taking you shopping with me from now on. Well, that didn't last long. But if you believe Spirit only answers people's prayers, somebody else's prayers, and that you never get a break, you could be heading out to the store, and you get in the parking lot, and you get up to that, you pull into that front row first to see if there's something that's going to open up for you, and you see somebody walking to their car, and they get in, and you're thinking, yes, I'm going to get it. And you get real close, and he gets in the car, and you're all ready, and all of a sudden, the brake lights come on, and he doesn't back out. So you wait, and you're tapping the steering wheel. It's like, come on, buddy, you coming out? Come on. What are you doing? And then the guy behind you starts beeping his horn, and then you want to wait, but you can't wait, and it's like, so then you pull forward because you realize maybe the guy's not leaving, and as soon as you get just past his car, he pulls out, right? And then the guy behind you gets the spot, and you're like, darn, man, so now you got to go all the way around the parking lot again, and you can't find a spot, and then it starts to rain. It's like, oh, crap, I left my umbrella at home. And then you remember, oh, I had that little voice in my head that said, don't forget your umbrella today, but you ignored it, and you think, oh, my day is crap. Well, some of us have those days. Some of us have those moments. Because maybe what's happening is that you've got that feeling inside of you that you aren't maybe you don't even recognize that feeling, that maybe you don't deserve that spot. And that's just a symbology because it's maybe I don't deserve the good that's for me in my life. And that's how Spirit works because it's not judging what we think. It's only taking the energy of our thought and bringing it into form for us. That is how it works. And that is how it works us. It takes thought plus feeling equals the demonstration. The demonstration of what we want to create in our life. It takes the intention, the thought. It takes the energy and the feeling and the emotion of what you put into that. That's what brings it into life. It's the passion. It's the fire in the belly. It's that spark of what you want to create in your life. And you know what? You ever think about the word passion? Passion comes from something you want and you love and you desire, but that same energy can be passion of anger. This week recently, I was standing close to somebody, and I actually was trying to think of this. I can't remember who it was or even where I was. But this person got so angry about something, and you had to kind of step back for a minute. And I looked at his friend, and I was like, whoa. And she goes, you know, he's just so passionate. But it was anger. Passion is the flip side of the coin. It's both sides. It's love, which is energy and movement. But passion can be anger and negativity, which is energy and movement, right? Same thing. So that creative process, that is God, how it works, it's not judging, like I said, it's not judging whether your passion and your energy is right or wrong, good or bad, left or right, up or down. It's just movement. And it works by taking that and then bringing it forward. That is how it works. So the first 3 chapters were really theory. This 4th chapter is the practice, and it's a daily practice. It's a constant practice to train ourselves. What are we doing with it? What are we doing with the process and the information? The first paragraph of chapter 4 says, one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, we can only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. That which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. And I will add, it is the truth to each of us individually, because we work it individually. It's not the same for everybody. God speaks through each person individually, through their own theory of all of this and their own belief. So it is a practice to recognize where we are in it. Practice is important. I am kinesthetic. Some people are visual, some people are auditory. I'm a combination of visual and kinesthetic. I got to touch something. I got to know why it works. I want to get in and take the toaster apart and figure out how to put it back together. And that's why I love some of this metaphysics stuff in this quantum class that I'm teaching, because if I can understand why this stuff works and it makes sense to me, I can just dive right into it. And I can put myself in that spiritual substance itself and really, really work it. And so I want to be conscious of where my thoughts are, and I want to be conscious of how I'm working it. When it is working us, it's because we're not being conscious of where our thought and our passion and our energy is. We can get so caught up in what's going on in the world today. We can get so caught up in how we are deciding what's right or wrong. And then we get lost in our passion and which side of the fence the passion is on. And it then begins to work us because we're not consciously paying attention to what we're doing. There's that wonderful gratitude exercise that you do where you go to bed at night and you think, say 10 things that you're grateful for the day. And it puts you in a very peaceful place to kind of fall asleep. Well, have you ever wondered, you lay there at night and you wondered, like, where was I angry today? What did I worry about today? And what was I really upset about today and frustrated about? Now, not that that should be a game plan when you go to bed. That's not my point, because that certainly would not be restful sleep. But if you ever think about how much energy that I put into worrying about something today, we just don't think about it. Because it's, sometimes part of our human makeup, we just kind of do that. We think something should go a particular way, or it's the certain details about something, or that person did something, whatever it is. And how much time and energy went into that? So what if we took that and consciously decided what the most positive outcome was for that? And that's how we work it. That's how it works. That's how we can work it. And then be consciously in control of what that energy is doing and how it's being worked. When I was a kid, I was in school in Tennessee for a little while. In Knoxville, Tennessee is where we lived. And if it rained outside, which it rained a lot there for some reason, we would go in and they put us in front of these little movies and teach us how to be good and not take candy from strangers or whatever. One of the things that one of these movies that we watched was about fire drills, and it was stop, drop, and roll. I don't know if anybody else has ever seen that. So that's my little analogy that I came up with for how to kind of work some of this language I want to do. When I realize that I'm in a moment of frustration, when I'm in a moment that I'm thinking that Spirit's not working for me, when I'm driving in that parking lot and I come up to one of those I want that favorite parking spot, and I see somebody's getting ready to pull out, but somehow I miss it, and it's always the car in front of me or the car behind me that gets the spot, and I never get the good spot. I can stop in that moment. I can drop the angry thought or the frustration thought or the thought that Spirit's not taking care of me, and I can ask myself in this moment, where is my belief about myself in connection to Spirit? What is my own personal belief about my connection in Spirit? Stop, drop, and roll. Stop myself, drop the thought, roll into something different. Maybe I'm thinking that Spirit doesn't want me to have that spot. But that's not the truth. It's really something within me. And so the task is, and the practice is, to keep my thought clear and open for the positive outcome. This is the place, whenever we get into one of those moments of wondering why things aren't working out, this is where we get to ask ourselves, what are my hidden beliefs? Maybe there's something within me that I'm not recognizing or haven't really even thought about or worked before about why my life is not turning out. I must have a hidden belief about something about that. And if you want to know what those hidden beliefs are, you just look at your life. Do things show up for you the way you want them to? Because the only thing that stops that, the only barrier, is really what's within us. If we were able to totally let go of all those beliefs that someone else put in our heads when we were kids coming up, we would be totally open to Spirit and all the good that there is for us, because that's really what's available and what it wants us to know. So that, if we put our energy into that, we have the possibility and the opening for that to show up. We can continue to pray and treat, as the term that we use, for the changes that we want in our life. We can state these things that we want to have happen. And what we want to do is have an affirmative attitude about that. We talk about having a positive attitude, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's a good term. But when we think about having an affirmative attitude about calling in what we want and claiming what we want, having an affirmative attitude is like action and has roots. And then we also want to have an attitude of expectancy. Expect that life to turn out for you. Expect that thing to show up. Ernest Holmes says we should learn to control our thought processes. Thought should tend more and more toward affirmative attitude of mind that is positive, stable, and above all else, toward a real unity with Spirit that is already complete and perfect. Develop an attitude of expectancy for the outcome of what you want. We consciously expect the Word to have the power and to show up for us, that good that Spirit is. And that is the way you work it. If we are constantly in our head about anger and resistance, we cannot resist and be angry about something and at the same time expect the opposite to show up. That's duality. You cannot have your mind in both places. So why not, well, we can have our little pity party for just a moment. We are human. It's a good, we like to do that. But then let it go. Stop and drop it. And then roll into that new thought, that positive attitude of expectancy to claim what you want as the result. That gives it power. That gives it focus. Because what we focus on is what the Spirit is going to expand in your life. We may wonder about where that next job is coming from. We may wonder about where that next, oh boy, if we're in one of those places where even food money is coming from. And I've been in that place. I can speak from that one. when I made my move down to Tucson a couple years ago, and I was in between jobs. The job I wanted didn't show up because it was different down there than it was up here. So it didn't show up the way I wanted it to. And I wondered about, where was that next meal going to come from for the rest of the week, that food money? And I really caught myself, and I did that thing. I stopped for just a moment, and I staked my claim that I'm of spirit. Spirit is with me all the time. Spirit is whole and complete. Spirit takes care of its own, and spirit takes care of itself. And so I know that I am fed and I am nourished in every moment, and I have nothing to fear, and I let it go. The next day or so, I was unpacking some more of my boxes and ended up finding 2 coupons for 4 free meals at Olive Garden, which then took me through the rest of the week, no problem. And then also, because liquor laws are a little different, they even walk around with free wine for wine tasting down there, and I got 2 free glasses of wine. So, I mean, it worked out great. You know, it was a good one. So how do we use it? It's about constant practice of remembering that we are a creation of spirit. We are fully connected in spirit. Spirit works in us, and it works through us, but it is constant practice to stay rooted in that affirmative thought and the attitude of expectancy. Now, we don't get caught in the details. We say that we leave the details to the universe. We focus on the positive outcome of what we want to see and what we want to feel. We put our feeling into that. Abraham's quote this week on Wednesday was perfect for this. What if what I want and what you want are in conflict? If I want rain and you've just cut your alfalfa, how does that work? If you will focus on the essence of what you want, which is a magnificent new crop, and the other will focus upon the essence of what they want, which is a successful alfalfa harvest or whatever, and if either of you doesn't get too involved in the details of how you think you want the desire to play out, then both of you will be satisfied. The universe has the facility to orchestrate circumstances and events to accommodate everyone. So as I said, we don't get caught up in the details, and that's how we teach this in the classes as well. We focus on the outcome of what we want to experience. If either one of you doesn't get too caught up, involved in the details of how you think you want the desire to play out, then both of you can be satisfied. Humans think we have to figure it out. We're doers. We think we have to know it all. We were afraid that if this guy over here gets what he wants, there won't be enough left over for me. Practice to leave the details out of it and focus on what you want for your outcome, and the universe takes care of all of it playing out. That's a game of trust. Actually, it's not even a game. It's trust and believing and knowing. So let me slide sideways for just a moment. There's a lot going on in the country right now. Lots of groups gathering and marching for all kinds of different reasons. And I'm observing people's actions, their reactions, and I'm really watching myself, watching my reactions to all of it. Some people are very happy with what's going on right now. Some people are not happy with what's going on right now. There's a lot to think about. I get it. Bob and I like to drink our coffee in the morning and we watch Morning Joe. The other day, Joe Scarborough made a comment. He said that as bad as the Democrats feel right now with Donald Trump, that's how the Republicans felt the day Obama was sworn in 2009. I never thought about that. We don't think about the other side. We only think about ourselves. And this put me in an interesting thought for a couple days. And then I read an article by a practitioner on the listserv, and it was about values. A person's values are principles and standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in their life. So I asked myself, as I watch what's going on, are my reactions, my thoughts, and my behaviors in alignment with my values? Am I only reacting surfacely to what I'm seeing on the television? And am I staying in my values, or am I feeding the fires and the battles that are going on? Spirit reacts to all of that, even my thoughts. So, I watch television. My question really is, do I turn the TV off, or do I keep watching and stay tuned just with what's current? But I recognize that when I find my place, start to react, I step back. I've been taught to step back as far as I can to see the bigger picture and to keep myself in alignment. So I can watch what's going on. I can make a claim for what I know my personal values to be for a world that works for everyone. That's an interesting statement, and people are starting to talk about that statement because what my world looks like may not be what someone else's world looks like. But however, if we don't get caught up in the details and we allow ourselves to stay in our value and make our affirmation, our affirmative stand on what we know for the values and just look at the outcome of that, then we don't get caught up in the battle. And I think that's important to just think about. The universe has the facility to orchestrate circumstances and events to accommodate everyone. And I'm going to hold that this week. So it's practice and practice. To work it, to know how it works, and not let it just work you. Agreed? Good. So take a breath for a moment. Just breathe in, breathe out. And so part of this is forming a support in like-minded community like we have in our congregation, in our center. And Reverend Barbara has been speaking about how we can find this support in membership here in our center. And so we've been talking about that for a while, and we'll be talking a lot more of that in February. And we've been having some people come up, some of our members, and tell us what membership means to them and why it's important. And so we'd like to hear from Lauren this morning, and she's going to let us know what membership has meant for her while she's been here.
So thank you very much. So kind of what I wanted to say is I can be a member here because other people before me have been a member here. And this is here for me because I've moved from California to here. And guess what? There's a community waiting for me. I had no idea. But I came, and look what is here. So I invite you to be a member so that people like me and people like you, when you go someplace, that place will be there for you. And so membership means that it's the people, it's the connection, it's a safe place, it's an open place, it's a place where you feel welcome. And so by you being a member, I can be a member, and I've been a member. I knew Barbara in Santa Rosa. I've been a member now in San Jose and now here. And so it's a world. It's a world that we're all connected. And when you visit a place, I invite you to look for a center. And you'll see that's what your membership, because membership is, you've made a commitment that this is a belief and a philosophy that matters to you. And it matters to you here in Salt Lake. It mattered to me when I lived in San Jose. It mattered to me when I lived in Santa Rosa. It matters. And so I show up. I serve because that's such a great way to meet people and give and feel good. And I also pledge because any organization that's going to last has to be able to plan. It's not that someone's going to show up to your door and go, you didn't pay this month. But it allows people to plan. And by planning, we can thrive. And so I'm here as a thriving member of this wonderful, thriving community. And so I just say thank you for being here. Thank you for all coming before me.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, so I'd like to take all of this into prayer now, and I call our practitioners forward. And I'd like to remind you that our practitioners are available after the service every Sunday, after every service in the prayer room, which is now out in the library. And they're available for you for personal prayer and support. And so, I go to that place within that I recognize and know that is all spirit, that is all love, that is that life and that vitality, that ever-expanding good, that ever-expanding essence of life. I know that all in that and wherever I am, that presence of the divine lives and moves through me and guides me in all that I do. As I speak this word, I know it is the vibration and the word of each individual here. I let myself open. I let myself be guided for what is right in my life. I let myself be open to the purpose of my life and to the joy and the order. I know that as I move forward, Spirit is right there. I know that as I reach for love and experience love, that grace guides me and guides me that all that I choose to have as I speak my word with affirmation, with expectancy, that Spirit shows up. That I am always guided to be in the right place at the right time with the right people for the right things to show up for the highest and best for my life. And I know that and claim that wholly for each individual here, for each individual that's a part of this community, that's in this city, that's in this state, that's in this country, that's around this planet. For Spirit lives and moves and has its being in every individual that's been created. And I call it good. No matter what the condition, no matter what we may see at this level, that there is a higher expression of God. And I know that the divine result is that of good. I claim and know that that presence of order and harmony and love is that which is guiding the leaders of this country, the leaders of every country, and for the harmony of the planet to continue to expand for its greatest good. And I know that it works. And I let the details go. Let God handle how this works. And I know that the outcome is that of love. And so I let that be. I know that great blessing for our leaders. I know that great blessing for every teacher, every rabbi, every source of information, no matter what language or what color. It is all God. And I let it be. With absolute joy and gratitude in my heart, knowing that this is true, I release this into the law, knowing that it is done as I speak my word, it is firm. And I allow it to be so. In claiming this together in our hearts, we say together, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.